Released on December 6, 2016, the Scarif DLC was the final DLC released as part of Battlefront 2015 Season Pass. The DLC was inspired by the upcoming Star Wars movie Rogue One, which told the story of the group of rebels that were responsible for stealing the Death Star plans. As mentioned in the title, the DLC takes place on the planet Scarif, the planet which hosts the final battle of the film. Scarif is absolutely beautiful and is visually probably my favorite map in all of Battlefront, but we'll get to that once we talk about the maps. This DLC, like the Death Star DLC, was not extremely content heavy. It features 4 new maps on and above the planet Scarif, 3 new blasters of much variety, only 1 new star card, 2 new heroes, 2 brand new power-ups, a new vehicle, and a new game mode. Alongside these major additions, there were also some minor ones. The Rogue One X-Wing VR mission was added and can be seen on the front page every time you load up the game. Hero traits were added to the original 6 heroes, the Shore Trooper skin was released, and the rank cap was increased from 90 to 100. It's a lot of content, so let's jump right in. Two new blasters were released with this DLC, with the third being added to the game a month later. All 3 of these blasters had something that no other weapon in the game did at the time: special abilities. Let's start off with my personal favorite, the DT-29, a 6-shot revolver. Unlike all the other weapons in the game that have a cooling feature, the DT-29 must be manually reloaded. After all shots in the chamber are fired, you will be entered into a fairly cool but long reload animation. It deals 25 to 50 damage with a rate of fire of 300 rounds per minute. It has solid range with damage drop-off starting at 20 and ending at 40, with its cooling power at the chamber maxed at 6 shots. In my opinion, this is easily a top 10 blaster in the game, and I could easily make an argument for top 5. It's extremely powerful and can easily kill enemies, with really high headshot damage. Pairing the cooling cell with this card will ignore the reload and allow you to fire continuously, while pairing it with explosive shot will allow you to neglect the overheating effect. This gun is definitely more skill reliant than others in the game, with the reload time being the largest detriment to your game. When stuck in the reload, you are unable to throw down a back-to-bomb, so make sure that you always have cover while reloading. Running the Berserker trait with the DT-29 is probably one of the best combinations, as it will allow you to kill enemies a lot faster and save some shots. Unlocking this weapon costs you 3,500 credits and requires you to get 25 kills as Krennic, use 20 personal shields, and get 25 blaster pistol kills. The second weapon we will be looking at is the A180 blaster pistol. This gun's special ability is its configurations. The A180 can be transformed into 4 different blaster configurations: pistol, rifle, sniper, and ion mode, with the blaster starting in the pistol configuration by default. The other 3 configurations occupy the player's 3 star card slots. Now there are tons of weapon stats to go over, so excuse me for all the numbers on the screen, but here we go. Starting off with the pistol configuration, it deals 12 to 34 damage with a rate of fire of 280 rounds per minute, and a standard range of 20 to 40 meters. I'm not the biggest fan of the base version, I just think that there are a lot better pistols in the game. The next configuration is the blaster rifle, which deals 15 to 34 damage. Its rate of fire is similar to that of the A280C, coming in at 460 RPM, with a range of 10 to 60 meters. Next up, we got the sniper configuration, which deals 90 to 100 damage with a rate of fire of 180 rounds per minute. Just like the DLT-19X, you only get 1 shot with the sniper before it's put on cooldown. One lovely thing about it is that you are guaranteed a 1-hit kill from 10 meters away, putting this sniper up there as one of the better ones in the game. Finally, we have the ion configuration, which doesn't deal any damage to players, rather vehicles. Similar to the TL50, it fires a projectile shot that deals crazy damage to turrets and droids. While the A180 is super fun to use and essentially gives you 4 guns, it's taking away your star cards, which is a massive disadvantage. Lacking both the back-to-bomb and jump pack is just a death sentence for most of the time, and my KD ratio did not look appealing after using this thing for a couple games. Unlocking this weapon costs you 3,500 credits and requires 25 blaster pistol kills, 30 blaster rifle kills, and 20 targeting rifle kills. A very fun weapon, but one that can be a big challenge due to the lack of cards. The next and final gun is the Siege. Fuck. Is that a Fabricio tweet? Oh my god, please. Let's fucking go, Jesus. Yes. Oh my, this made my day. This is incredible. Lastly, we have the CJ9 bow rifle, which was added to the game a month or so later. You may notice that this thing is huge, and that's because of the bayonet attached to the end. When hitting the melee button, you will lunge forward with the bow rifle, and upon hitting an enemy, will kill them with one hit regardless if they have a shield or not. The rifle itself is semi-automatic and deals 19 to 30 damage with a rate of fire of 220 rounds per minute and a range of 10 to 60 meters. A really good combo to run with the bow rifle is the shot grenade card, stunning enemies and then hitting them with the staff once they are immobilized. Another good card to pair with this is Disruption, as you can prevent enemies from gunning you down while you're sprinting at them like a lunatic. In order to unlock this weapon, you'll need to kill someone in a multiplayer game that is using it, appearing in your weapon catalog once you eliminate them. While this weapon is fun to use, it is difficult to do well with, and I find myself getting outgunned every single fight due to just how bad the semi-auto is. This DLC only gave us one new star card, and if I'm being honest, a pretty bad one of that. Introducing the Sonic Imploder, a grenade that emits a large shockwave that blinds enemies and can on occasion kill them. Yup, that's pretty much. This thing is not very useful, and I'm being serious when I say that it is absolutely not worth carrying this thing around. Unlocking this card costs 3,500 credits and requires you to blind 20 enemies and get an excruciating 15 kills with the impact grenade. The upgraded card costs 8,000 credits and requires 30 kills with Jin, along with an even more grueling 5 kills with the Sonic Imploder. Now, this DLC actually introduces two brand new power-ups to the game, both being vehicle power-ups and only available on Scarif. First one is the TIE Striker, available to the Empire. When collected, a TIE Striker will spawn in the sky, performing strafe runs on rebel soldiers around the map. As the rebels, you receive a notification letting you know a TIE Striker is in the area. Unlike the icon displayed on screen, the token looks like any regular power-up that can be found around the map. There's not really a way to destroy this thing. I've tried, and after a while I think it just vanishes. The second and final power-up is the U-Wing, available to the rebels. When picking up the U-Wing token, the player will be able to play as the U-Wing gunner, firing shots down below as the U-Wing travels around the map in circles. Just like the AT-AT, getting kills increases the time you are in it. However, unlike the AT-AT, you can be killed in it. The U-Wing can be destroyed, or on very rare instances, you can get sniped from inside the gunner's seat. Very rare, but possible. The U-Wing has two abilities that come with it, a shield and sensor jammer, just to make things a little bit more interesting. I quite like both of these power-ups, and they add to the immersion of the Battle of Scarif. The Scarif DLC followed in the footsteps of the Death Star DLC by adding a Starfighter aspect to its new game mode. Gents, I give you Infiltration. Probably the hardest game mode there is, at least in my opinion. The first phase begins outside the shield gate of Scarif. The rebels are tasked with reaching the shield gate before the timer runs out, with the Empire having to destroy the U-Wings. As the timer runs out, more U-Wings will spawn in, with 3 U-Wings all trying to reach a destination at one point in the game. To whichever player is randomly selected to play as the U-Wing, they don't have a horrible time, as it comes with some good abilities. The U-Wing possesses a shield, speed boost to try and reach the gate faster, and a signal jammer to prevent enemy lock-ons. Once the U-Wing reaches the end of the shield gate, the game mode will progress into phase 2, the distraction. The rebels must attempt to destroy one of the 2 Imperial cargo shuttles by placing explosive charges on them, while the Imperials attempt to deactivate them before they detonate. Unlike other game modes, this one only allows for 1 Imperial hero present during the phase, and Krennic is the only one available. The best strategy as the rebels for this phase is to try and have a bomb on each U-Wing at the same time. That way, the enemy will have to split their forces. If the rebels are successful with the bomb detonation, the game mode will proceed onto the third and hardest phase. The rebels have to escort one of 3 data tapes to their U-wing in order to escape. Players can use their jump packs while holding a tape, but will drop it once they activate the star card. This phase is kind of similar to Cargo, but the Imperials cannot return the data tapes back to the rebel spawn point like in Cargo. Instead, they sit in the same spot and their spawn is reset after a period of time. I cannot tell you how many times I've dropped the data tape right in front of the U-wing, only for the Empire to set up 4 turrets and camp the shit out of it. In this final phase, the rebels are able to call for Jin's assistance, with a singular hero pickup spawning the entire phase. Infiltration is probably my least favorite game mode, but that's simply just due to how hard it is. Other game modes include Turning Point, Blast, Fighter Squadron, and my personal favorite, Walker Assault, which has been shortened to just 2 uplink stations instead of 3 to compensate for the smaller map. Playing Walker Assault on Scarif is just such a fun time, and I feel like it's got a big thing to do with the maps. Four brand new maps were added to the game, with some of them being the most beautiful maps in the game. We'll start off with Scarif Beach, which is probably my favorite map. The map features multiple landing pads, massive doors to enter storage facilities, lush and jungle forests scattered around the map, and of course, a view of the Citadel off in the distance. The map features a small river that divides the 2 islands, along with both of the cargo shuttles. In Walker Assault, the walkers will walk around the shuttles, taking a longer way around the map instead of going through it. The next map is the Scarif Jungle, which primarily consists of lush forests and deep vegetation. 2 shuttles remain on each side of the map, with dirt trails connecting them. When looking down on this map from above, it's almost impossible to see anyone due to the sheer concentration of palm trees and bushes everywhere. Unfortunately, Walker Assault is not available for this map, but it's still extremely fun to play Blast on it due to all the cover provided. The next map is Landing Pad 13, which was modified slightly and added to Battlefront 2 a couple years later. The map is set at sunset by default, making it a really nice contrast to the usual sunny weather. The map features 3 main islands that are divided by rivers and connecting bridges, with the shuttles sitting on the middle island. Walker Assault is available on this map along with Blast. If I had to rank all of these maps, I'd go in the same order again, with Scarif Beach first, the Jungle second, and Landing Pad 13 third. There is one more map however, and it's the Shield Gate. This map is fairly similar to the Death Star debris fields, as there's a lot of garbage floating around, with 2 Star Destroyers in the middle of the map. Nothing much to say about this map considering it's made for starfighters, but the Shield Gate looks nice I guess.
Soon I'll be the Emperor's closest confidant.
Reckless, aggressive, and undisciplined. Pretty much sums it up.
This DLC brought us 2 brand new heroes like the others, both the main hero and villain from the film, Director Krennic and Jyn Erso. We will start this segment by taking a look at my favorite of the 2, and my main throughout the game, Krennic. He comes to the game with the standard hero health pool of 1000, with his weapon of choice being the DT-29 blaster pistol, dealing 35 to 65 damage and possessing a rate of fire of 300 rounds per minute. Just like Palpatine, Krennic is able to be flanked by 2 Death Troopers, which are equipped with rocket launchers, thermal imploders, and a cooling cell, whilst wielding the DLT-19 Heavy Blaster. His trait, Motivator, gives armor bonuses to any ally standing near him. He also gains armor for himself when surrounded by friendly units, making him a very team-focused hero. The more soldiers within his vicinity, the bigger his trait becomes. His left ability is Armor Breaker, my favorite ability. Krennic upgrades his pistol to be able to deal high damaging power shots. These shots deal 125 damage, making them a one-hit kill in most scenarios. If the enemy is not killed, they will be hit with an effect that reduces enemies' armor. This ability does have a short lock-on, but you will still need to be precise with it. I usually have this ability toggled on the entire time I'm playing as Krennic, as using this armor breaker at the top of a map is my way to go. His right ability is Wrath of the Empire, which grants him and nearby allies 100 additional HP and armor. When activated, the Imperial crest will appear below Krennic's feet, and any ally within the radius will be boosted. This health buff is extremely useful. What I typically do is deploy the health buff as soon as I spawn in, bringing my health to 1100 with additional armor. His final middle ability is his Astromech Droid. Krennic deploys an Astromech Droid equipped with a scan pulse and a squad shield. If a rebel soldier gets too close, the Astromech Droid will channel in its inner Third Reich and proceed to gas them, dealing extremely high damage. Even if the shield is still destroyed, the droid will unleash its Dioxis around enemies. This is an extremely powerful ability and one that I use super frequently, whether it be near spawn or on an objective. Overall, I think Krennic is an extremely powerful and really fun hero to use. He definitely excels at game modes such as Walker Assault or Supremacy, whilst I'd avoid him in game modes like Heroes vs Villains or Hero Hunt. The other hero included in this update is Jyn Erso, who is a very underrated hero in the game. She comes to the game with 1200 health, more than the typical health pool. She possesses the A180 blaster pistol, which is buffed to deal 69 to 70 damage with a rate of fire of 150 rounds per minute, with its range coming in at 50 to 70 meters. Her passive ability is Truncheon Charge, which allows Jyn to passively gain charges for her Truncheon Surge. This trait will allow her to keep up in close combat for a longer time. The more charges Jyn builds up, the more enemies she can take out by chaining together a high number of Truncheon Surges. Her left ability is Rifle Configuration, where Jyn modifies her blaster pistol into a highly damaging rifle. Unlike the regular version of the blaster, the rifle will remain in rifle configuration until toggled off. It deals 20 to 40 damage with a high rate of fire of 460 rounds per minute. This is definitely my favorite ability of hers, as it allows me to go on killing rampages. Her right ability is Truncheon Surge. Jyn can strike forward in a short melee attack that can be chained together as long as she has charges available. Since this ability is dependent on charges, there is no direct cooldown restriction. Once Jyn is out of charges, she will have to gain back her 3 base charges using her trait, Truncheon Charge. This ability is really good when sneaking up on a group of enemies, taking them out with extremely quick succession. Her final ability is the Sonic Imploder. The Sonic Imploder is a multi-effect grenade that will damage, blind, and temporarily reduce the armor of Jyn's enemies. The effect varies based on distance from the grenade. Enemies close to the grenade explosion will take high damage, but very rarely land you a kill. The flash will affect enemies at a medium distance, while enemies at a long distance will have their armor reduced. This is definitely her worst ability. It definitely has its uses, don't get me wrong, but compared to her others, it's just not as good. Both Krennic and Jyn were incredible additions to the game, and while Jyn is not the best of heroes, she is super fun to play with and an underrated hero to say the least. The Scarif update was one of the most cherished additions to the game, with Scarif still being a community-adored map, and Krennic being one of the most used heroes to this day. 7 years later, Scarif is still talked about as many miss this DLC with a passion. As the developers mentioned, the Scarif DLC would be the last big update to the game, and with this DLC, Battlefront 2015 concluded. Months would pass by with no significant updates to the game, with the player base waiting for what would come next. And on April 15th, 2017, our questions were finally answered with a brand new trailer for EA's next game. So yeah guys, we finally did it. We finally completed this series that took way too long to make. I want to give a quick shout out to Park Keller. I was live streaming a couple of days ago and I wasn't going to upload any video. I asked him if I should, he said yes, and then I uploaded Death Star video 2 days later. So thanks man, thanks a lot. I really hope you guys did enjoy this series and this video, as it took a lot of time to make, and I certainly did enjoy it. I don't know when I'm going to see you next, but till next time, peace.